to see it.
Yeah.
Look at that.
I was a little bit sad. Yeah, the unbroken chain was broken. My favorite, maybe my favorite Dead song. And Phil Lesh passed away at 84. And I also, from Box of Rain, which he wrote, such a long time to be gone in such a short time that we're here, I think. And I was saddened, and you must have been sad. And I don't know if you talked to anyone that you know, but recently I saw Phil Lesh, what was it called, like the Phil Lesh Band. He was performing in March or April. I mean, he was fine, right? What can you tell us?
Yeah. Well, he was a little weak, I have to say, Joe. I was at that show in the Capitol Theater in March where he played.
In March.
And Joe, this is a very kind note. I appreciate this. I'm sorry I didn't see this over the weekend. I was busy at that hour. Joe, I was busy at that hour organizing a memorial concert that we did, my band did on Saturday afternoon.
Okay. Well, that would have been good for you.
We had 500 people at a free show, the Stella Blues Band at Garcia's, and they opened it up, and everybody worked for free essentially at that time to bring everybody together and just memorialize a great musician and artist who Joe, did amazing music, but songwriter. He rewrote the book on how to play the bass.
Beautiful.
But there's one thing about him you may not know, which is that he ended up fostering the careers of a lot of younger musicians. Of course, he brought along his son, who's a great talent, Graham. We'll hear more from him. But he was on stage with Phil and friends with tons of younger musicians, the great Elliot Peck, people you may not have heard of that have made names in the jam band scene. And Phil would play. He even played with me. He got on stage with our band. It's really quite remarkable what he did with the second half of his career after being a monumental, historical figure in the world, in the music world. And then what he did is he turned his attention to bringing along younger people.
Well, I don't think, you think of a bass player as rhythm. He's almost like a lead bass player. He had riffs that were just totally different than just keeping the beat. And I think of Unbroken Chain and what he did on it. Paul McCartney did that too. Amazing bass players, but more than just Paul's with us.
Jack Bruce, Pepper. But one of the things, Joe, I don't know how many Grateful Dead concerts you went to, but there was a place called the Phil Zone. People who would decide that where they wanted to stay at the show was right in front of Phil. So there was the Phil Zone, and people used to wait for him to drop these big bombs that would shake the entire stadium. And he was famous for that.
What other than Box of Rain? What is? Did he wrote Unbroken Chain also? Did he write that?
Yeah, Unbroken Chain. He was involved in a lot of the writing, Joe. Actually, like Dark Star, he was involved in writing a bunch of other songs that were classic Grateful Dead songs. And he was a classical trained musician. I don't know how much time you guys want to spend. I'll spend the next half hour talking about Phil, but I think we'll give Greco a bit of a heart attack. But in any event, he was a classically trained musician that brought that classical music to this idea of the bass rather than doom, doom. He was all over the place. I think you described it well, Joe, saying what a great lead.
So what if you get an email that says you've won $1 million, but you need to claim it within the next 24 hours? I mean, how can you miss an email?
I reached out to Phil, to Steve too, when I heard about Phil. First person I thought of.
Did he blow you off?
Becky sent me a text, and I responded to Becky.
That's where I got the photo of him doing the...
This is to Steve Leisman, subject sympathies.
Mine was a text. You should send a text instead.
All right.
Joe,
Steve, I think it speaks volumes just that we both thought immediately of you.
Right.
I was to dinner with my wife and sister-in-law, texting to everybody, organizing this concert the next day.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I will be.
All right. Well, I was thinking about it.
But we're sorry for your loss.
I looked up some lyrics and everything. All right.
And thanks to Pete Shapiro and Josh Cohen for helping put that show on.
All right, Pete. All right, Pete. Did you talk to Bob at all? Bobby?
I didn't talk to Bob. I know Bob's probably pretty broken up by it.
Yeah, and just there, we're all getting old. All right.
Thanks, Steve. We'll see you later.